So it's finally over. The Promised Neverland has officially ended this day. Chapter 181, the final chapter of the Promised Neverland. And I'll be honest, I I actually called this ending after the last chapter review when I found out that we find out that the price of Emma bringing everyone back and freeing them was her memory. I did kind of call that they would end up meeting, and it would kind of end with her not real knowing who they are, but with the whole tearful reunion and stuff like that, it would pretty much just end there, because how else could you pretty much end it? But yeah, pretty much ended how I was kind of expecting, but that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I'm pretty sure a lot of right before I started reading it, I was hearing that people were having mixed feelings about this finale, but overall, I think this was one of the best ways they could have ended it. Granted, I do think that the Search for the Seven Walls little mini arc they had could have been expanded at least another few 3 to 4 chapters maybe. And with Searching for Emma, I feel like this could have been a bit longer, maybe like 2, maybe 3 more chapters. But again, I feel like since the mangaka was planning to end it at some point, I think this is on their terms. Because I highly doubt that Shonen Jump or Shueisha was kind of pressuring them to end it soon, because it was in their top 10. It was in their top 10 best-selling manga of the year. So I highly doubt that they were pressuring them to end it quickly. So, in all honesty, this was a pretty decent ending, I have to admit. Obviously, it could have been done better. There's no such thing as a perfect ending. That's something we all gotta live with. There's no such thing as a perfect ending. But I think for the Promised Neverland, with how they've set everything up, how they brought everything about, I do think that this was the best ending they could have gone for. So, let's just talk about it. So, essentially, we do get confirmation that by the end of the last chapter, and in this chapter, it's been 2 years since everyone came back. So at this point, I believe Emma, Ray, Norman are about, let's see, they should be about like 15, 16 years old officially. Phil, I did know that, and I did see that there was a time skip since Phil was in fact older in the last chapter by a whole 2 years. But anyway, so from all this, we actually get a glimpse that everyone was kind of going for, so everyone was searching for Emma as hard as they can. The Mike Rotry, I think his name was helping them find Emma. We do get to see that everyone's kind of like somewhat like piecing together or coming up with the idea that maybe Emma is there, but they just can never meet her again, which is kind of the price of the promise. So we're kind of figuring things out. But even still, there has to be somewhere they haven't looked yet, which is where Norman came up with the idea of where everyone pretty much came up with the idea of the Forbidden Zones, areas that have been like locked off from the rest of the world, where no one is allowed to really to go, or where no one really lives anymore, or places that no one really never technically existed. So from that, they all split off into multiple groups to go to these different areas, since in that world, pandemics and wars kind of destroyed a bunch of countries, basically turning places into giant graveyards, like we saw in the last chapter with the old man when we saw Emma. So, in all actuality, it was a smart idea, since from the last chapter, you kind of piece together that Emma was in a forbidden area, since the only one that was living in that place was the old man. So, Emma and the old man are still kind of living together at this point. So, everyone continues to search, and through 2 years, they end up getting into the place where they are right now. And we see how frustrated that Ray is, considering that, they've been looking everywhere and they still can't find her. And this is where the end of the last chapter comes in, where Ray, Gilda, and Phil are walking one direction and Emma is running in the other direction. Now we do get kind of, as they're heading out to try and catch the next bus to leave, we do get this kind of scene where honestly, I still have no real idea how to feel. I kind of consider this like a bit of a Deus Ex Machina type of thing, but with how there's a demon god and stuff like that, it's not highly impossible, I guess. Or call it a sixth sense. Call it a sixth sense. Lucas and Hugo's spirits or ghosts or something basically like nudge Ray, telling him, look, turn around or something like that. And it could, like I said, it could just be a sixth sense or a gut feeling. And for dramatic effect, they just drew in Hugo and Lucas's ghosts for dramatic effect, or it could be their actual ghosts for all we know. But yeah, there's that. Ray kind of goes with it on that because he's like, he doesn't really give much of an explanation for himself, but he's like, hold on, I'm gonna search one more time, and Ray is frantically running to try and find Emma, and he does in fact run past the store where Emma is with the old man. But as the old man is paying for stuff, he mentions that Emma kind of lost her necklace. This is actually something that I can't believe I looked over. And there's another thing that I want to say also, but the necklace she got from Ujika, I do believe that I forgot to mention it because that was on her person. So I completely forgot about that. So I'm honestly kind of sorry about forgetting that one crucial piece of information. But moving on, she goes out to try and search for her necklace, retracing her steps and stuff like that, and then she finds it. But then, just like that, Norman, Ray, and everybody are surrounding Emma. And then then happily they all jump up and try and hug her and stuff like that. Feeling overwhelmed, Emma just tells them to stop and pushes them away, and that she doesn't know them. And right off the bat, another thing I didn't notice in the last chapter was that the numbers on her neck are gone. So that could be another reason why they weren't able to find her through information and stuff like that, because everyone still has their numbers. Emma doesn't. So yeah, I mean, one person did say, wait, is this not Emma? Because she looks exactly like her. But then, looking at the necklace, Ray pieces together that it really is her. And that she just lost her memories and all her experiences. Anything that connects them together has been completely erased as the price for the promise. Now, I do like another flashback sequence with Emma and the demon god, which is essentially her explaining why this was the best or ideal decision in future that she could hope for, where her and her family can live in happiness, sort of. I mean, we saw, despite Emma having these gaps, having her loss of memory, but feeling that there is people out there, she still manages to smile, to have fun, stuff like that. The old man's been taking care of her. So, in a sense, yeah. Hell, even the demon god's actually questioning her logic on this and asking, how do you think that this will be? And if she's absolutely sure that she wants to go through with this. So, that is much appreciated. I do like what they were doing with this. And I do like Emma's answer being that this was a way for her to pay for all of her selfish decisions. Which she does make us a lot of selfish decisions, which in order to help other people, but still selfish decisions nonetheless, and she does kind of feel like she has the obligation to make it right, despite everything that's going on. So, yeah, I do like that. Moving on, with everything going on, everyone's kind of worried about Emma and everything, but Norman just breaks down in tears, just being glad that Emma's around and alive and happy. He mentions that she's happy, she's healthy, she's been eating right. So, which 2 years with that old man, the old man was basically treating her like his own daughter, pretty much, from what I could tell, and from how much he was actually caring for her. And yeah, I get that. So now we get this. Essentially, Norman gives a bit of an exposition dump, being on how glad they are to have Emma in their lives, glad that Emma is back, but also telling us some vital pieces of information. Like for one, like Mike Rattray is probably only really helping them, so they don't just do whatever the hell they want. He's also taking care of them and giving them what they need, as well as all of the kids all the kids are actually going to school. We do a nice little montage of them at school, with computers and stuff like that. And they even managed to use Adam's cells to help make medicine for Norman and the other lab patients so they wouldn't die from the seizures. And hell, they're even getting better. Which is something that I do like, because this was mentioned back at the end of the Royal Capital arc in the series, where where they basically found out that Adam is pretty much hasn't suffered any real seizures, and he's kind of like one of the pretty much an exception to the rule, and his DNA and cells could be used for an antidote. And I like that despite not mentioning it after that moment, considering with everything that was going on, I do like the resolution in that. Moving on, I do really believe that with everything that has happened, the fact that they are in fact together is kind of sweet. And hell, even Emma starts breaking down in tears. She says, I don't know why I feel this way. I don't know any of you or who you are or what your relationship is to me. But she still says that it feels like she's been waiting to see all of them. Starts breaking down crying. Everyone starts breaking down crying, and they all go in for a nice big hug. And the chapter pretty much ends with them saying, like, let's all live together. And that's pretty much it. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to be saying, and it's that we probably didn't get a good prologue to this, but do you really need a prologue after every time a major arc ends? I mean, I get it to see where everyone has been ends up after the series is officially over, but there's also the thing where you can just end it right then and there. Just leave the future of these characters to your imagination. I'm fine with it, honestly. But yeah, the fact that everyone, I do think they could have stretched this out a little longer, make this a special issue, make it the length of a monthly series, make it like make it like 35 to 40 pages, maybe 50 to fully cap it off. Because even though it's 27 pages, longer than the standard issue of any real weekly manga, I did read through it rather quickly, and I believe everyone else did. But again, I liked the ending. Could have done better, but it was still a good ending. I liked it. I do like the whole tearful reunion with everyone, and despite Emma not remembering anybody, those lingering attachments are still in her subconscious, or her spirit, stuff like that, because even if you can erase someone's memory, you can't fully erase it. And it's a weird thing when it comes to fiction, like, you can get, someone can have their memory completely erased, and they can never get all those memories back, but there's still something left over to, like, tell you everything. I mean, for all we know, Mujika's necklace could have had something to do with Emma still retaining, like, that kind of maintaining that feeling in her mind or something, like in her mind, in her heart. For all we know, that could be the case. I mean, Promised Neverland wasn't a world of demons. There is supernatural elements with the freaking demon god and the seven walls and the transportation between the worlds. So it's not that hard to believe that could actually be a logical explanation for why Emma still has those lingering thoughts and feelings. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to have like another couple of pages or chapters saying what happens after this. Like, oh, let's say Emma and Norman get married. Like, that's something you don't really need. You don't really need something like that. Or Ray becomes a teacher. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just throwing random examples out here. None of this is like based off any real evidence. I'm just spitballing ideas of how they could have done it. Ending it off here at this point with all of them just being like, we'll all live together again. Tears in their eyes that they're all finally back together, their entire family. It's nice. It's nice. I'll be honest, I kind of almost shed a tear myself. I do like... Promised Neverland is one of my favorite manga, and I will read the series all over again. Despite the weak points and like dips in what I believe the quality of the story could be, overall, it's a really great series. Honestly, if I were to rate the manga as a whole, check out the good and the bad, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, pretty much. Because, and if I'm not being completely biased, I'd give it like an 8.5. It's a great series. Everyone should read it. Obviously, I'm going to recommend it to people because I really do love the series. But again, even though the ending might not have been something that people have expected, it is an ending that is acceptable and honestly a pretty worthwhile ending for the series as a whole due to everything that's happened. While yes, the whole thing with Emma having amnesia till the very end is kind of bittersweet ending, but it's better than having the whole thing where like reunited with everybody, despite having all her memories and attachments pretty much completely erased. Once she reunites with everyone, they're gonna be like, she gains all her memories back. Then that would make the whole sacrifice pointless. I mean, you could just ended it with Emma living somewhere else, away from her family, and have them believe she's dead. You could do that, but then again, that is kind of a moot point and a very weird ending to go off of, considering that we know she's alive, and that it wouldn't be completely impossible for everybody to for someone to find her in the end. I mean, it took them 2 years to find her, but even still, I honestly think with everything that they've written and set up for, this was the best possible ending, at least to come to my mind. But overall, what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this final chapter of The Promised Neverland? Did this completely alter your thoughts on the series as a whole? And how do you believe the series could have ended? Or do you think overall was this a good ending? Do you have mixed feelings on it? Let me know in the comments down below. And now that Promised Neverland is done, I'm gonna have to try and find another series to try and work on a weekly videos on. Honestly, this is something exciting. But either way, Promised Neverland is over. I can't wait to see what the mangaka and the artist are gonna do. I do think the artist is planning a manga to be released in the Shonen Jump soon, so I'll probably give that a read. But either way, I enjoyed the series, a good ending, and I'm happy with how everything turned out. All that said and done, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Don't forget to stay safe.